Alright, we're going to make this video about the people that will never have any grandchildren. This is a horrifying consequence. It's a horrifying consequence. The people that will never have grandchildren, I'll give you an example. Mr. and Mrs. T. Right? There's a daughter and a son. Mr. and Mrs. T. Okay, there's a daughter and a son. The daughter was, 30, in her late 30s, going out with my friend, taking birth control from Dr. Michelle. And now that she's in her 40s, maybe even 41 now, I don't know how old she is right now, but I know that there's no grandchildren there. And you look on the Facebook of Mr. and Mrs. T, and there's no grandchildren, and that's it, right? And they have a son. I do believe he's married. He's doing some petty, whatever nonsense he's doing, but there's no grandchildren there. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so we got Mr. and Mrs. T. Mrs. B. I was actually talking to Mrs. B, and she's a married woman. They have a boy and a girl. Same thing. Same situation. There's no grandchildren. There will never be any grandchildren. Right? That's what I'm trying to say. There will never be any grandchildren. It's kind of creepy. Mr. and Mrs. F. Right? There's 2 boys, no grandchildren. No. There's just none. It will never be. There will never be any grandchildren, right? Because it's not like, okay, a man, okay, you can have you could theoretically father a child when you're in your 50s and 60s and 70s. You could, but with who, right? With who? Who would be the wife? Eh? It will never happen, right? So that's just creepy. So Mr. and Mrs. T, right? 2 daughters, right? They are now past the wall, if you will, right? They are now past the wall. They will never have any grandchildren, right? Mr. and Mrs. S, right? If you will, yeah. 2 girls and a boy, I think. There's no grandchildren, right? There's none. There'll just never be any grandchildren. Mr. and Mrs. H, 2 boys, no grandchildren, okay? The husband died. Mrs. C, right? Mrs. C, right? These are real people, right? The boy and a girl. She will never have grandchildren. The husband died already without any grandchildren, without having the chance to hold your own grandchild and say, grandpere or grandmere, I love you, grandfather, grandmother. These are real people that we know. Mrs. L, yeah, L. Yeah, no grandchildren. All right, the girl's already, she's my age. I should be 38 or 37, 30. I'm 37 right now, something like that. There's some that do, right? So some that do, right? So all the people, I'm just naming some of the people that I know, right? So I've already named a whole bunch of people that, that we know. This is in our circle of friends that don't have any grandchildren, and they will never have any grandchildren, and their bloodline will die. Okay, one here or one there. Okay, about a whole bunch of them that we like, a whole bunch of people that we know. It's creepy, man. It's just creepy. It's like in my own family, and we don't deserve the amount of, like, for example, my grandfather, right? And he's got a whole bunch of great grandchildren, and he's like, oh, this is great, so grandchildren. So he will never understand the plight, the horrifying consequence that these people have to suffer, right? Imagine dying in your last breath and knowing that, your family will die forever, right? There's just no continuity of your bloodline. Your bloodline has been, carried from so long ago, like literally like thousands of years ago, right? Like 2,000 years ago or whatever. And then, I traced my ancestry back to like the 1400s or whatever, and then prior to that, I had bloodline. So then whatever happened before the 1400s, and then you got 1400, and then my ancestors came to Grand Prix in Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia, and then after that it was in what is now Clare, Nova Scotia, and then after that there was my great grandfather, and then my great great grandfather, and my grandfather, and then my grandfather who's alive today, but his father was the guy that died in the war. My grandfather, he's a war hero, and then my grandfather, and then my dad, and then me, and then imagine that my bloodline were to cease just because of Dr. Michel Dow's, gross medical negligence, and and violation of her the Hippocratic Oath. I mean, that's a frightening, horrifying consequence. Your bloodline will cease, the cessation or the death or the end of your bloodline. I don't know. I'm just kind of freaked out by that. Am I the only one that's like? This is my greatest fear, right? This is literally my greatest. Let's say, for example, okay. So, for example, I got 6 kids, and I'm gonna have a new baby, right? So that would be 7. Hopefully, the pregnancy will be good. I'll be very happy to see my new baby's face. That's gonna be great. So let's say, for example, my 7 children would not have any children at all, which is possible, right? I'm not a grandfather right now. I'm 37 years old, so I'm whatever. My oldest is 16. So let's say, for example, my 16-year-old, my 13-year-old, my 8-year-old, my 4-year-old, my 3-year-old, my 1-year-old boy, and then my new baby here, right? That's 7 were to never have any children, which is possible, that would be like so crushing to me. I don't know. I'd be like, oh no, I gotta do something so that this doesn't happen, right? I don't know. Is that not right? Is that not a? Am I crazy for thinking that? Huh? I don't know. It's just how I feel. I don't want my bloodline to end. But what I'm seeing is that so many people's bloodlines are ending, right? And these people, like when I say Mr. and Mrs. T, this is a real husband and wife, right? They're married. They're married. But what's the point of them having 2 children anyways, right? Were they taking birth control pills? At the time they said, oh, 2 is enough, right? 2 is enough. It seems like everybody got on this bandwagon, right? In my parents' generation, maybe even my grandparents' generation, at the time of the 1960s, it was fashionable to limit the amount of children because the women were getting all you know you know loud and noisy and everything like that. So we're gonna not have as many grandchildren. uh, what is more valuable and precious than a baby? Literally, there's nothing. Okay, so you want to make you want to whatever. I mean, but everybody started doing it, right? When everybody starts doing something, then um, there's something going on there. Something really weird. It is weird. It is freaky. It is not right. There's something going on here. I'm telling you, there's something going on here. Why do all these people just have no grandchildren, right? Why? Why do all these people have no grand... I'll tell you why. It's because people like Dr. Michelle Dow prescribing these abortifacient birth control pills, and they're keeping on getting abortions and abortions and abortions and abortions, but they don't actually understand the fact that there has been a successful conception in the womb of the mother, right? They don't understand that, right? And that baby, right, that has 100% humanity and is literally it went through the zygotic genome activation. Like I said, zygotic genome activation, like there's no denying it. Right? That is a baby, right? There is 100%. So there's the zygote, the morulus stage, the blastocyst, and everything like that. But this is the zygotic genome activation. There's a new set of DNA, right? There's a new set of DNA. The embryology is clear. I mean, if you want to just be ignorant and believe your nonsense, well, by all means, you can do that. But these people should not be able to vote. But but you can believe that if you want. So these people are voting, right? We should put strict limits on people who can vote. They should be able to understand a basic set of logic and reason, scientifically based facts, right? Put forth by medical scientists, embryologists, for example, right? To understand the true value of life, but they don't. These people are voting for the riffraff, right? They're voting for any kind of riffraff that will allow abortion, any kind. It doesn't matter what the foreign policy is. It doesn't matter how many taxes you got to pay. As long as you can have an abortion, that woman's certainly guaranteed to vote that guy in 100% of the time. And that's why we have this kind of nonsense that we have today. Oh, man. Anyway, my country that I'm in now, there's constitutionally protected right for the baby from the moment of conception. It actually says that in the Constitution of the country. But what scares me is that these people are going to lose their bloodline. Their bloodline is going to cease forever, right? And it's all going to happen at the same time. All of them at the same time, right? All right, there's no continuation at all. That's the end. No, period. The death. Literally not the death of you, of your bloodline. I mean, I'm not scared of death, right? And my grandmother dying and all this stuff. It's a little bit sad, but there will be a continuation because she had children and they had children and all this stuff. But let's talk about my cousin. She had an abortion. Disgusting act. Disgusting thing. A disgusting thing. An incredible thing. Incredible act of violence and a dirty, dirty sin, right? So that's the end of that bloodline. Right? So my uncle, my foolish uncle would never understand the joys of having grandchildren because he's so lazy drinking all the time and smoking pot, always smoking pot and all this stuff. So funny. Smoking pot and drinking. Okay, that's his thing, right? And he's always smoking weed and everything like that. And there's an abortion, right? My grandmother had an abortion as a granddaughter who had an abortion, and I put it in the obituary, but my mom took it out, right? So it's not in the obituary, but this baby was real. This baby was alive, and my baby that I lost was real, and it was alive. And I said, there was children there that didn't make it. My mom took it out of the obituary, but it doesn't erase their humanity. You can take it out of the obituary. She has the final say because I wrote most of the obituary and then she screwed it up and she gave it to the guy. But anyway, the funeral guy's pretty good, very professional and all that stuff. I was very pleased with their services, but I am not so pleased with the services of Dr. Michel Dow. Prescribing an abortifacient drug, right? Abortifacient drug under the guise of they are not an abortifacient drugs, right? That's how silly this whole thing is. It's very silly, right? She's saying, oh yeah, it's not an abortifacient drug, but it is, right? So that's what the whole point about this is. So the point of this video, and it's a gruesome, it highlights the horrifying consequences of this whole thing, is that these people will just never have any grandchildren, ever. No, like never. They will never have any grandchildren, right? How horrifying is that? How horrifying is that? Maybe it doesn't bother them. I don't know. To me, it would really bother me. It would really bother me, right? Am I wrong for thinking that? Maybe, but to me, right, that's what I'm scared about. But thankfully, I don't have to worry about that. I have 7 children. Yeah, 7 children. I don't want to brag or anything, but you got to do your research. If you don't do your research and you allow these goons that will, prescribe your daughter these birth control pills, and you will never have any grandchildren because you physically paid for the destruction of your grandchildren. Let's say, for example, the dad. Let's say, for example, I'm a stupid dad. Okay, I'm a stupid dad. I would pay for my daughter's birth control pills and send her off to college. Okay. I would never do that. Let's say, for example, but there's so many that do. And they pay for the daughter's birth, or just going to put her on birth control and send her off to college. Yeah? And then now you're complaining because you don't have any grandchildren. Well, why? It's because there's a powerful lie that Dr. Michel Dow and those people will propagate, and that is that the birth control pills are not abortifacient. But the truth is they are, right? That's what I'm trying to say. They are abortifacient, 100%. They are abortifacient, and the FDA says so, very deceptively, but they do admit that they are abortifacient, and they do admit that the conceived baby, right, will die at the very later and healthy stage of development, which is the implantation stage. They do admit that. If you read it carefully, you will see that the baby will die at the implantation stage. Anyway, it's a very frightening reality, but it is true that these people will die without any grandchildren. Freaks me out. Maybe it doesn't freak you out. Maybe you're okay with it. You're at peace with it. You're at peace with your imminent doom. All right? Doom. Not just your death. Okay? Death is, okay, for me, death, okay, whatever. I'm going to die. I'm going to leave my house to my kids and all this stuff, so they'll be okay. But no. Who do you leave your house to? I don't know. The parish, the Roman Catholic Archdiocese. It happens. I'll see ya. Take care.